You haven't heard yet what I'm going to say, so we'll see. So the question I ask myself is that if you look at the top free-to-play games you usually play or see in the charts, why do most of them have really deep economies? It seems that an economy is kind of a secret sauce of success. We will see. So I'm going to dive into a couple of topics about economies, including, of course, how do you monetize them. Just a quick glance who I am. I'm in the game industry for nearly 40 years now, so I have experienced a lot of really good stuff and some shitty stuff, which is normal. But I love what I'm doing. I made my hobby my passion, my work, meaning that I never work. I just do my hobby and earn money with it. That's awesome. So the best industry in the world. I was artist, programmer. I founded my own studio, had a successful exit. We shipped a couple of games there. I was CEO of a public listed publisher. That was the shittiest job I had. Don't do that. But on the other hand, it was interesting to actually, see how a company like that works. At the moment, I'm monetization director of Stratosphere Games, which is in Berlin. We are close to 60 people. We are on 3 projects. And my other half, I'm consulting companies around the world in my special field, my special topic, which is free-to-play and monetization. This game we launched 1.5 years ago, Homeworld Mobile. It has a very deep economy, so if you want to see how something like that works, you can actually start playing that. It has a little bit rocky story behind it, but this is something for post-mortem. Maybe I'll do that next year here, we will see. But it's a purely economy item-driven game. This is the whole concept of it. And in terms of KPIs, it works really well. We released our second game on May 8th, so this is really young, in cooperation with Boombit. They're doing our marketing and user acquisition. It's working really well between us, and the game itself, we are really happy about the first couple of days. So it seems that we have a really, let's say, I don't know, we have a success in our hands. So now it's all about scaling, expanding, maintaining the game, and see where that goes. Back to the topic. An economy is a sink, a source, and a converter. That's usually what you have. And when you have a well-designed economy in your game, it gives you a baseline economy, a baseline revenue really well and very easily. That's the reason why economies work so well, because you don't have to have an offer-based thing or just rely on battle passes or just like these single-out monetization concepts you see in so many games. An economy gives you a really nice base revenue level you can build upon if it's well designed. It has a lot of ways which are proven, which work in terms of monetization. You don't need to invent that yourself. On the contrary, it's a mistake to invent it yourself because you might actually not fully understand what you're doing there and might misfire. So go to an economy-based game, see how they monetize, and simply adapt to that. It's like if you design an engine for a Formula One car, you're not trying to have 2.5 cylinders in it just because you say, hey, that's special, right? It should work. No, it doesn't. So you're relying on, proven concepts. The same here with the economy. An economy has a fascinating feature, which is that if you design it right, that it balances itself. So you don't need to go in with the data, rebalance, the things, the sources, and the prices, and so on. No, you don't need that. If your economy is really rock solid, it just works. It balances itself forever. The oldest economy I have designed is a game which is running for 13 or 14 years now. And there's no rebalancing at all. When I play the game today, the values in the game are still the ones I put into the game. That's how long economies can last. And an economy is very, very good in terms of retention because the grind. Everybody hates the grind, but we hate the grind because it's repetitive. But a good economy gives you a grind which actually is fun. Because you can play around with the stuff you're grinding. You can trade it, you can convert it, you can build something with it. That's the reason why economies are very good for retention as well. And of course, an economy gives you a lot of progression paths. Free-to-play is all about progression. Like level up this, level up that, improve that item, lots of stuff. And the more, the merrier. And an economy naturally gives you ways to actually do that. You don't have to invent them. It's just part of the economy. That's the sexy thing. That's the reason why usually I start with the design of the economy before I start with the design of the game. Because it's like the nervous system of the whole game. A small reminder, if you know my old talks, I'm repeating this all the time. Free-to-play was invented for MMORPGs in China and South Korea, and they were heavily economy-driven. So their free-to-play was designed for economies. That's where it comes from, and that's nearly 20 years old. So there's no reason to actually reinvent the wheel. It's all there for a long, long time. So I put you a blueprint here, how you design your game. So when you follow that path, your game has a higher success to succeed. This is all you need. So we're done. Thank you. I'm just joking. No, really, most of the games you analyze are like that, right? You have a meta game which usually lets you collect stuff, progress stuff, you can go shopping, you craft stuff, you can socialize. This is like your meta game on top, where you manage your characters or your items or your armies or whatever you do. And then you have various game modes. And the game modes are there to lessen the boredom. If you have just one core loop, like you go in, fight, and go out, and that's it, that's like not really fun. It's in the beginning, it's fine, but after 2 weeks and hundreds of battles, it's like, oh. That's the reason why we invented game modes. And I just put some here, right? You have boss fights. You have PvP ladder-driven mode. You have a team-driven, like you need 2 or 3 teams to actually fight against 2 or 3 teams. You have clan modes, clan battles, clan bosses, whatever. You have what I call labyrinth mode. AFK Arena invented that, or actually had it. Actually, it was a game before that, but AFK Arena is a game you know. It's a kind of serialized dungeon mode where you go from one battle to the other and you can basically decide which path you go through. A permadeath campaign, you know, my favorite mode, and of course event content. And all of these modes, besides the normal economy resources, gives you one special thing you can only find in this mode. That's very important. So if your weapon needs a special ingredient to upgrade and you only find that in a clan battle, you will join a clan just to get that stuff. That's how powerful game modes are. And the core loop itself, what you do there, is always identical, only a few parameters change, like how many heroes you can use, how many teams you can use, you know, how long the battles are, what conditions the victory conditions are, and so on. But nevertheless, this game could be Summoner's War, AFK Arena, Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, whatever I take is all designed like that. So if you're missing something of that, you should make sure that you know what you're doing, why you're leaving that out. Okay. I told you that the economy balances itself, and the secret to success is what I call the baseline. The baseline defines how expensive certain things in your game are. So what you do, I explain you how you do it and then explain you how to use it, is that you take your basic resource, like the first resource in Homeworld it was ore, right? You go to asteroids and mine crud ore. That's the basic resource. We measured how much do you mine on median or on average per hour. So we took that and we said, when you sell that to the market, it's worth 60,000 credits, which is our soft currency. That's a baseline. This amount of resources is worth 60,000 credits, and then we just assigned the premium currency to it, which we call adamant. So we just said, okay, that's worth 100 adamant. So what we did is that we said 60K credits equals 1 hour equals 100 adamant. This is our baseline, and that baseline was set in stone and put on the wall. Everything in the game is priced like that. So how? When someone says, hey, here's a ship, a ready-made ship, how much adamant should I charge for it? So you disassemble the ship into its resources. The resources can be converted into its value, adamant, and the time you need to produce that ship, you can actually say how much adamant that is, and this is the price we charge. Very simple. The complete linear price and value model through the whole game. And that's how it works. Meaning that everything has an automatic price. Yes, we adjust the pricing for sexier prices. We would never charge 102 adamant. We actually would charge 99. Of course we do that. But on the other hand, everything can be calculated. And that's a really powerful tool. Yeah, this is one of the examples I wanted to see. So there are 400,000 credits we sell for 999 adamant. This is one of these examples. But theoretically, if you convert it here, you know, we actually should charge less. So why do we charge more for that credit than it's actually worth on the baseline. The reason is because we charge for comfort. How many hours do you save when you farm the 400,000 credits? And this hour we actually put on top as cost. Because hey, we don't give anything out for free. This is how we actually calculate it, and this is what I'm explaining here. So every comfort you gain, we up the price. Any comfort you lose, we lower the price. And comfort means saving time. We also use a principle called tiers. Not all games use tiers, but RPGs must use tiers, and nearly all RPGs you have played are using tiers. Tiers is a subdivision of the whole item base into hard segments. We have 5 tiers. Some games like World of Warcraft now have... Anyone still playing World of Warcraft here? How many tiers does World of Warcraft now have? 21? 27? Anyone knows? You go there and have the tier X armor, that tier something, I don't know. Okay, it's high. But we only have 5 tiers. And you see that tier symbol. Does this thing have a laser? I don't know. Oh, yes. So you see here, this is our tier symbol. This is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. Tier 5 is not released yet, that's coming soon. And there are reasons for that. Because tiers automatically subdivide the whole economy into its own segments you can balance individually without upsetting the neighboring tiers. Let me explain you the inverse so you know what that's doing. If you have only one tier, so everything is just in one game, right? And you're saying, hey, in the early game, it's far too easy to farm gold. It's too easy. In the mid game, it's kind of okay. In the end game, it's like really hard. So you're modifying that in the beginning, but because it's a global formula, you cannot balance the beginning, the mid, and the end game individually. You can't. It's kind of, it's one formula you have. And that's a problem. So when you fix the early game, it might blow up your end game and vice versa. But in a tier, you can go in and say, hey, tier 3 is our mid game. We just balance the income and outcome of the resources, and we are fine. Tier 2 says, okay, that's fine, because it's not affected by tier 3. That's the power of a tier-based system. It gives you stability. And it also gives you a natural progression path. If you're tier 2, what do you want? You want to have tier 3 guns. You want to have tier 3 ships. So it's natural to say, hey, I have my tier 2 ship. I want that. So you go there. And once you reach tier 5, you're actually in the end game. And then you go, through the whole end game process. But because tiers scale, they're becoming more expensive. If you produce a ship in tier 1, it costs 100. In tier 2, it costs 200. In tier 3, it might cost 400. Users are very sensible to, this is just the same stuff, but just more expensive. This is a natural reaction, which is fine. So what you do is that you're introducing new game mechanics in every tier. So that's very good for tutorialization. So what we do is in tier 1, this is our normal tier, you have mining ore, production, and refining, like how do you produce ships. In tier 2, we add research, a research tree, and so-called internal modules where you can modify your ships. In tier 3, we introduce star bases and gas mining, a complete new resource starting in tier 3. In tier 4, another new resource, moon mining. And in order to do moon mining, you have to have a star base, right? And in tier 5, there will be a new research and science system, which you let, basically invent blueprints. So every tier you enter, we fight the repetitiveness by giving the player a new toy to play with. That's important for an economy-driven game, because otherwise it's just a boring, scaled-up thing. We had that 10 years ago in free-to-play. There were many games like that, very dry. They just scaled up, and that's it. But that's no longer sexy. To monetize a normal economy, of course, you can sell resources. There are people who are lazy. They don't want to mine ore. For them, it's boring. So they buy ore. That's fine, right? There are other people who completely enjoy mining. If you have played EVE Online, you know what I'm talking about. Mining there is a cult. In our game, it's like 30% of people love mining. 30% say, yeah, it's necessary. And 40% say, I hate mining. So what do? They go on the market and buy it, which is fine. But because ores have to be refined to be usable, right? We sell crud ore and refined ore. We sell both. So there's an intermediate step. And we do that to buy time. Because mining costs time, refining costs time, and production costs time. So it's a three timers we can earn money with. Either the user waits until everything is finished, which is fine, or the user can actually speed that up and pay. And we are selling intermediate products. You're like, wait, what? What's intermediate products now? The thing is that in normal tiers, you have the crud ore, you refine it, and then you build actually a unit with it, like in any RTS or in any economy. But over time, this is boring. The reason is, the danger is that in tier 5, right, you want to have not 1,000 ore to build one, but maybe 1,000,000. Things has to be more expensive later on, right? Otherwise, it's just too fast. But people don't like that. So what do? You split up this here and put intermediate resources in. So what do? Crud ore, you refine that, you build intermediate parts, and then you build the final ship. So what we did is that instead telling you that ship costs 1,000,000, we're telling you, no. It costs only 50,000 for a part, but you need 20 of them. It still costs 1,000,000, but we subdivide it into smaller numbers. And to make that sexy for the user, we say, hey, this small part can actually be used for multiple ships. Not only this resource collector, but you can use it for interceptors or other ships as well. And that helps. So bigger numbers should be split up with this system. And that we actually splitting up bigger numbers in many other areas as well. I'm going to mention a few in a couple of slides. So this is a very nice trick you can use. But it sounds like a trick to monetize, but actually we're not monetizing, that system, heavily. But it's a neat way for people to manage their economies. They love items. They love optimizing their economy, with a minimal effort to produce the best stuff possible in the game. This is, there are many players who love that stuff. And the parts give them exactly that. It's another way optimizing their economy. So the one thing which we do, which is unusual, and I get many questions, even inside the company, we should not do that, I need this instant finish button. When something costs time, in the beginning it costs 5 seconds to produce a fighter. In tier 3 it might be 3 minutes, but later on in tier 5 it might be 3 hours. So many games have an instant finish button there, right? You pay premium currency and bam, the thing is finished. It's a very good way to monetize. But here's the catch. What is if you build a carrier which needs 28 days to finish? How expensive is that instant finish button? It's like €100. Who would press that button in this room? €100 to instant finish to save 21 days. See? Not many. There are people out there who do that. That's the reason why it's a very whale-driven concept. But there's a concept not invented by me. It's actually invented by a company in Hamburg, a German free-to-play company, which is this half-speed button. And that's a very sexy concept. So instead of farming the whales for this €100 to press the button, or the €5 button, or the €10 button, name any number, what you do is that you charge a very low fee, and you halve the time. So if it's 21 days, I press a button once, suddenly it's just 10.5 days. I press it again, 5.7. I press it again, 2.5 days. Press it again, 1.4 days. 0.7, bam, bam, bam. So what payers do when they see that button is bam, done. That's what payers do. On the base level, they paid far less than an instant finish, right? But they still paid like 3, 4, 5 euro for that. What do non-payers do? They grind the premium currency here and there. They have that. They won't use it for small stuff. But the big stuff, 21 days, this one press to half that time, 11 days, is worth a lot to non-payers. So they save up this to just press the long, half-time buttons. What that means is that everyone in your game becomes a natural user of premium currency. Everybody is using it. So the chance to convert that someone buys this premium currency is much, much higher because they're using it already. And on the baseline, because everybody is using it, this button makes more money than the few whales you could catch with a 50 or 99 euro button. It's a high two-digit share of our revenue we're doing with this button. So think about that. And this button actually is 19 in tier 1, 29 in tier 2, 39 in tier, it goes up in price because it's more value you're having. And the 99 is actually for very large quantities. So there you go. Everybody can actually use that button and becomes theoretically a payer. The other thing we do, and that's something an economy does, every day you play, you need something, right? You need credits to produce, you need ore, you need certain rare materials, whatever. There's a lot of stuff you need every day. So we bundle this up into something called micropack. And we allow you to buy that for a very low price, like $2.99 once per day or twice per day, depending on tier and on item. So theoretically, if you buy that every day, you get enough to actually be happy and produce your stuff. So €3 is not much. It's half a Starbucks coffee. It's really nothing, right? But $3 times 30 days, $90 a month. This is what this does. We have many people who don't buy the expensive stuff, not at all, but they're buying all of this every single day. Because they are lazy bastards. They don't want to work for their stuff. So they just, instead of going to Starbucks and buy coffee, they just buy that. The secret is the price should be $1.99 up to $4.99 for endgame. Don't go over $5, don't ever, and don't go under $1.99. Believe me, if someone tells you, hey, 99 cents is a sexy thing, no, it's not. If you charge $1.99, same thing, but you make that twice the money. So this is the big secret of what I call micropacks, and I install that into every game I design or in any client's game I consult. Because these things are working really like a charm. But in order for this to work, you have to have stuff in the game which you use up as a consumable every single day. It could be experience potions, it could be rare upcrafting material, whatever you have, right? Once per day. And why don't we allow that? You can buy them 100 times, because then someone would go in, buy himself to the end game, and after a week he's bored and leaves. Well, thank you for the money, but I'd rather keep that guy for a year paying me than he giving me a lot of money up front and then leave. Two different philosophies. There are companies who love the guy who gives them $10,000 the first week and then leaves. Right? There are a couple of companies like that. I could name them, but I'm on camera. And there are companies who say, nah, I'm fine, give me $100 a week, but stay with us for 5 years. This is far more valuable. Okay. The one thing we notice is that there are certain things in the game people love to craft, and there are certain things in the game people hate to craft. It's just to bother them. So what we're doing is that we are actually offering this stuff in ready-made in a limited quantity in the shop, right? So for blueprints, which you need to craft something, we charge in-game currency. For the ready-made one, we charge it, but only if it's like lower tier stuff. And for the higher end one, actually it's 79, it's the premium currency. This is low enough that a non-payer can grind enough to actually buy that from time to time. All our ships are consumables, by the way. All the ships can be killed and they're gone forever. Right? This is another small secret of economies. If you have permanence, be very, very sparse with them. And this concept, blueprints for credits, finish for premium, is in the whole game. And the trick to use premium and not say 99 cents or $1 here is that it's fair to play, because non-payers can also afford this here and there, and payers of course can. But if you put a dollar sign here, only payers can afford it. And that's not good. Should always be both. When you have a tiered economy, you need certain currencies or resources which are actually cross-tier, right? Like credits. Credits you use in tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just in more amounts. But there's more stuff than just the credits. So what we're doing is that the credits itself, used for maintenance, crafting, for maybe repairing and stuff. The player level itself, we actually use as a kind of currency indicator. It's not level up like in RPGs, you're getting more powerful when you level up. It's more or less a loyalty index. You level up every hour in our game. roughly, when you just, when you gather experience. And with that level, you get certain resources and certain currencies with that level up. So if you see a level 1000 player in our game, he roughly spent 1,000 hours in the game. This is how it works. I didn't invent that, Overwatch did. And it's a wonderful concept. And because we don't know what a level 500 player needs, no one knows, well, the data knows, we give the player a currency called prestige. And with that, he can go to a prestige shop and buy stuff what he needs and not what we think he needs. And that's a very important message here, right? If you give progression-based rewards, you're assuming this is what the player needs. But what if he doesn't want that stuff? He suddenly is no longer motivated, right? So better give him a currency and give him a shop with exclusive stuff where he can actually say, oh, this is cool, I want that. Well, another player says, nah, that's shit, I take this. That's cool. That's basically how that system works. And the prestige points are very sexy for compensations. So when we have maintenance, when the game is down or whatever, we can give someone, hey, here, have 500 prestige points. And he can go shopping without disturbing the credit or the premium currency. We have something called research points. You need that for research, for the research tree, and research and unlock new technology in the game. We don't sell research points at all. Monetization guys will say, my bosses, yeah, but we could earn so much money with this. I said, yes, but it might destroy our game. Why? Because you need one thing which you don't monetize, people have to work for. One thing. And that's research points in our game. So even a heavy pair who gives us lots of money, right? He always flies the best ships, the most shiny stuff, right? He has never a resource problem because he just buys everything, right? But the one thing he still has to do, like everyone else, is walk through the research tree. That's the secret. If we would sell this, the heavy pair, as again, would bam, zap to the end game, and then says, oh, the game is no content, I'm bored. And you're like, yeah, but we need half a year to actually ship a new expansion. So this is what we call our main friction resource. We just put friction on everyone. And because everyone has to go through that pain, everybody is fine with this, right? There's another thing we introduced, is called Fragments. In games, when you have an economy, you have drops, rewards. Like you open something and there's a rare reward inside, right? But let's say the chance to drop this epic item you need is 0.3%. We all know that these items exist. Let's say you hunt this down. After 1,500 missions, it still didn't drop. Now you might give up, frustrated, and that's bad. So to limit that frustration, you can actually use fragments. So use your super rare stuff and divide it into small little parts and give the player these parts, but more often. Let's say instead of playing 1,500 missions with no drop, actually every 10 missions I get some fragments. And after 1,000 missions, I have enough fragments to actually buy that rare stuff. So my reward feeling is much more frequent than this one drop after 1,000 missions. And if it doesn't happen, I actually might quit the game. That's the sexy thing on Fragments. And we're using Fragments on a lot of legendary stuff, on characters. We're using it on rare internal modules. We're using it on super rare stuff you can have. And on our big ships, like the flagships you can build in our game. You can actually buy one of those for Fragments. And you just farm them, and that's it. And people have the feeling of positive progression because they say, 10 more fragments and I actually get my new flagship. And betcha they will stay awake until 2 a.m. just to get this. So as I explained, this is our prestige symbol, and these are all the stuff you can buy. And you see this is legendary stuff. You can also buy the premium currency for premium currency. So every 10 level ups, you can actually buy 200 adamant, which is fine. And you can also, this is limited to, let me think, is that limited? I don't remember. We have like hundreds of items in our show. I have to check it up. But some of that stuff we limit. You can only buy that once per day or once per week or once per month, just for balancing. And as I said, we're using it for compensations, for events. So in normal events, we're also giving out prestige in there, and of course social media. It essentially we can call it a loyalty currency. And when our community manager, asks, hey, what we can give out, as says, hey, there's May the 4th, right? What can we do? We don't have a special item we can give out without, imbalancing certain events and stuff. And we just say, yeah, give out 300 prestige. And everybody's happy, because everybody knows with that he can buy stuff he really needs in the game. The other tierless thing we are selling is premium accounts. Premium accounts differ from subscriptions, and both differ from battle passes. They are three different things. A premium account is a prepaid value where you're getting extra service. So you can buy 90 days of premium for a certain amount, and 90 days you're getting increased experience and increased currency payout for every mission you fly, for every reward. That's what it does. So it halves your time, roughly, of the daily grind. This is what a premium account does. This is not a subscription. A subscription has different content, usually comfort stuff. Both of them don't have items attached to it. A battle pass only is about items, right? You pay a battle pass, and when you progress with the battle pass, you're getting goodies. But these don't have that. And can anyone answer here why? Why don't we give a premium user 10 Adaman per day on top of experience bonus and all of that? Why don't we do that? Pardon? You get it through grinding, but we could theoretically give you as a bonus and make it more sexy to buy premium, like 10 Adaman per day. The reason why we don't do that, just to answer the question, is that there are payers out there who don't want to pay for items. That sounds weird, right? There are players out there who want to beat the game as a free-to-play player. There are many of them, and you know them all, right? They want to be a free rider. So if you include an item in here, they will never pay for this. But here's the funny thing. These free-to-play players who only play for free would actually buy premium if there's no items attached. Because they don't consider premium cheating. While buying items, they consider cheating. This is basically what it does. It attracts a certain type of payer. Besides that, all payers will buy premium. That's normal, right? All regular payers will automatically buy premium. There's a certain percentage of buyers who only buy that and nothing else, not even starter packs or something. So that payer type exists. Just be aware of that. That's the reason why premium is designed like this. That's what I just discussed about the fragments, right? This is our fragment shop. We actually sell the fragments. So instead of grinding the last 10 until 2 a.m., your wife says, hey, come to bed, and you're saying, okay, I just spent 49 to actually buy the last 10 I need. This is how that works. Dividing stuff into fragments is powerful, but also can be a little bit problematic. Everybody who has ever played a gacha game knows the feeling when suddenly that gacha animation turns shiny and the flashes are coming and you're saying, another legendary, and bam, you have the legendary. It's a very important dopamine moment, happiness moment. That's the reason why gacha is so mighty. That system ruins that. You don't have that. So for the gacha summoning, don't do that, but for certain things in terms of rare heroes or whatever, you can actually use the fragment system easily. I already explained that. I'm not following my role. That's okay. Okay. That section is the hardest part to understand free-to-play, and a lot of designers I interview are not answering it right, because each of these circles is a mechanic, a game mechanic. Combat, level up, whatever you have, right? And they're all connected, because to level up something, you might need XP or credits, or if whatever, you know how it works. The secret of free-to-play is that you don't earn money with the mechanics. You earn money with the connections between the mechanics. That's an important thing to remember. If you analyze your own game, You say, yeah, we are selling credits. Yes, but what are the credits used for? They're actually used to go from one state of the mechanic to another. So it's the connection which monetizes you, the motivation to actually go there, and not that you have credits in the game. And the important thing is that the number of connections increase dramatically with each node you're adding. So if you have 4 nodes, you have 6 connections. With 5, you have 10. With 6, you have 15 connections. What happens if you cut the stuff in half? Like, hey, these mechanics are only for this, and these mechanics are only for that. You don't connect them in a meaningful way. You're actually left with just 3 connections, a fraction of potential monetization in the game. That means that if you're putting stuff into the game, you have to think about how do I connect and wire that to everything else in the game, and that's where the potential of monetization is. And it's a very abstract thing, but I always have to repeat that because many clients coming to me, I say, why cannot not spend stuff I earn here there? They said, no, we don't do that. I said, yes, but why? So they don't connect it in a proper way. Or the designers don't think about a systematic modular way where they say, I insert this new mechanic into the game and see how I can actually plug it into other systems that can earn money. So that's a tough part, which is miscellaneous MTX. This is stuff we sell, but we sell rarely. For example, a starbase move token. Like when you put your starbase around an orbit and you say, I want to move that starbase, you actually have to buy the token in order to move it, or rename your character, normal stuff. So they have a healthy sell value, they do healthy revenue, but they're not really dramatically high. And usually you buy it like once or twice in your lifetime, that's about it, right? We charge for creating clans. Like so many games, you should actually do that. Because otherwise you're left with hundreds of empty clans or one-man clans. To create a clan should be an effort. That's the reason why we charge. We charge premium currency for it, not cash. Legendary non-random officers. Our officer system is our gacha system. So when you create a new officer, it has random attributes and random skills. So it might not fit the role you're looking for. But we have ready-made legendary officers with preset skills, and you can actually purchase them for a premium currency. And they're bestsellers, like all of them. So-called progression unlock packs. So when you go from tier 2 into tier 3, and with your tier 2 ship, you just got the quest, hey, build a tier 3 explorer, and you just start building it. Of course, we have an offer with tier 3 equipment we want to sell you. Hey, look here, all the turrets, weapons you need for that new shiny ship you're building, spend $20, you have it. And they work really well. And so-called progression supply packs. So these packs help you in the transition from one tier to the other in terms of resources, the fragments, everything, because everything is tiered. That pack helps you with that. And a big driver of our game are the events. We have daily events, like which faction has XP bonus today. It changes every day. We have weekend events, and the weekend events are tied to a certain topic. And these are bound with a cash pack which is only available during that weekend. I'll give you an example. We run a mining event. There are epic belt spawning, so you get increased output. So everybody actually goes mining on that weekend. But we also sell a $20 pack where the adamant is in, plus epic miners. So if you want to have epic miners without trying to find the blueprint and building them yourself, you can actually buy them there. And they sell really well. One thing, and I'm repeating that in nearly every talk. I don't know, if you browse through all my Digital Dragon talks, I say this, I repeat myself, never do sales on a premium currency. If you do that, you're destroying your anchor. You're destroying the value of the currency because the payers, when you do a sale, will wait for the sale to give you money. So the normal revenue with the normal packs are over forever. That's the problem with it. So what you should do is an easy trick. You take the same value, but you put goodies on top. So our $20 pack we are selling on the weekend has exactly the same adamant in there, the same premium currency, like the normal pack, if you calculate it per dollar. But we actually put the epic miners for free on top. And suddenly becomes a bestseller. So with that, you don't destroy the anchor. Itemization. I have 15 minutes left, so I have to go quicker a little bit. Itemization and economy goes hand in hand. If you have an economy without itemization, you're dead in the water. If you have itemization without economy, it's a senseless collecting game, right? So itemization means that the inventory becomes your source of your database. Like everything I own is in my inventory. So please don't split it up. Don't let me go here to look for my blueprints, and don't let me go here for my resources, and don't let me go here to look at my troops. Don't do that. Put all of that into just one. And if you have an intelligent, systematic programmer, he will make sure that your inventory can be used in multitude ways with filters and all of that and search, and you can use the inventory as a market. Because essentially it's the same. You can retrieve an item from the inventory and you attach a cost to it. So it's one fly and it kills all. No, this is not, it's a German saying. I don't know how it's translated. Anyway, so inventory, very important, specifically because inventory is a very important retention thing, right? If I collect my stuff in my inventory and I take a look, you know, it's so valuable what I collected. It tells a story what I have been through. I won't leave that game. It's mine. This is the most important feeling you create with an inventory. And there are secondary uses. Invisible tokens in the user's inventory is so powerful and make your life so easy in many things. Like, did he unlock chat yet? Yeah, he has a chat token in his inventory. The user doesn't see it, but your system does. The community manager might put a evil guy token to his inventory, so everybody on support who looks at this guy knows this guy is not kosher. He is like crazy. If he might have banned, or his ban history, premium account tokens, everything we are talking about can be put into the inventory. That means your game master tool to manage inventories, consumers, you know, everything, just has to look into the inventory and not into 3 different databases. This is very, very powerful and saves you shit tons of work. Sorry for my word, but this is really, really true. You know, if you have ever gone through the pain that you have to look for the progression system into PlayFab and for his items into Azure database and for whatever you have to look into a Mongo database somewhere else and you have to kind of draw that together, it's a pain in the ass. To have everything in just one place is very powerful, and this is it. It's the inventory of the player. Even experience could be a currency you have in his inventory, right? So think about that when you design your system, please. So itemization is very easy to monetize, right? Space restrictions for the inventory size and process restrictions. Process restrictions are that if you're allowed to refine 200 ore in one go, to increase that to 400, you could actually monetize that, right? Besides progression stuff. And you know, any RPG has that. No, I'm running. Yeah, I speed up a little, okay? So in general, the biggest secret, if you want to make more money, ship expansions for your game. Don't change little KPIs and tutorials and God knows what. No. This is the best example I can give you, right? This is Angry Birds 2. The index downloads and revenue, right? Every expansion, whoop, 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 whoop. This is where they started. From 20,000 a day all the way to 100K a day. Through expansions. Expansions beat everything else you're doing. Just think about that and read into it how they did that. It's online, right? So we talk about horizontal expansions, which is putting more of the same in the game. And there's one important thing, and that's the permutations. If you only have 3 attributes for your characters, you have 5 strong permutations. So if you have to ship a variation of the character, you only have 5 different ones. That's not enough. Not for 2, 3, 4, 5 years live operations. You need more attributes, right? And with 5 attributes, you have over 90. So that's the reason why the number 7 is so sexy for designers. At least minimum 5, if possible 7, optimal 9 attributes for characters, strong items, etc., even if some of them are hidden. So please, the permutations otherwise will limit your ability to expand and make good items into your game. Yeah. Or you will make really weird tricks to actually make them happen, right? Vertical expansion is actually adding stuff at the end of the game. But even there, it's limits, because the more expansions you put into a game at the end, the audience will actually be less and less and less, right? Because in the end game, there might be 100 people left, while in the beginning you might have 100,000. And the other problem is, and that's something which only long-term games have actually experienced, is that the larger your game is, the less likely people will start the game. Now get this, your game is really good, and 99 levels to be in the end game. I play that, but imagine there are 9,000 levels. You're saying, nah, no thanks. You won't even start the game. And that's a big problem the Asians encountered first. And they tried for, how can we expand the game to make more money? You saw the previous chart, right? Without actually getting that frustration. So the latest experiment, and you can actually play that, is from AFK 2, AFK Journey. What they do is that they have a kind of normal game which lasts about 4 weeks, and they put a season on top of the end game, and that season is limited for 5 months, and then exchange that season with a new end game. So a new player never has 9,000 levels to go through. They always have the normal game which lasts a month plus a season on top. So it's kind of, the goal is always visible. If that goes well or not, we will see. The game just launched a couple of weeks ago. But nevertheless, it's very interesting experimentations for, live operations of games which last for 5 or 10 years or more. Because you're running into diminishing returns with everything. General monetizing info, please, if you want to have info about increasing conversion, increasing RPPU, etc., go to YouTube, look for my talks. I actually explain that much better in the talks than just going through this here. And pitfalls and fixes. How much time do I have? 5 minutes left. Okay, first pitfall is inflation. My economies rarely had inflation. The reason is because I cleverly put safeguards into the economy to actually avoid that, right? So the easiest solution is actually to add new things, but it's harder but more worthwhile is continuous expanding the game. Because when you expand the game, there are new things in the game, so people, it compensates the inflation. And of course, we offer currency conversion at a loss, but you have to be careful with the currency conversion because you're connecting two isolated economy cycles with each other with a conversion, right? If I could use credits to convert into adamant, people would crazily farm credits just to get the adamant conversion. Even if it's 10 to 1, they don't care. 100 to 1, they don't care. They would grind billions of credits just to get this adamant. So be careful when you do that, right? It could backfire. The other pitfall is simultaneous change. So you say, we have to, lower the prices here by 10%. They're a little bit more too expensive. But on the same, let's increase the drop rate of these items here. So these items actually have 2 factors change in one patch, meaning that you have no idea which of these changes actually affected the positive or negative outcome. That's very dangerous. So don't do that. Take one factor, change it, this update, watch the data, and then you change the next. Don't do 2 at once. I have seen so many games. I have seen one game nearly going broke because they made a mistake, right? So be careful with this. And for I principle, never let just one guy change that stuff, please. And in order to see an effect, right, you have to make a big change. Small changes kind of don't do a lot. And you can turn back. One trick I teach most of my clients is that it's better to start expensive and go cheaper than to start cheap and trying to get more expensive. Trying to get more expensive, your users will hate it. But if you're starting expensive and you then go cheaper, players will love you. So use that trick, okay? So what I usually do is that when you have premium currency you're selling for dollars, I actually halve the payout before launch. I just say, no, go with half the payout. And they say, no, we can't do that too expensive. I said, no, just do it. And usually I'm 30% right, meaning that if we up the payout again by 20 to 30%, then suddenly the revenue goes normal. But he would have basically had a 20% loss because he couldn't adjust it. Yeah, it's worth its own talk, I guess, at some point. Very easy. Player-to-player trade. You don't do that, right? No. If you're thinking, but no, you don't. Every single game with player-to-player trade has been exploited. Every single one. There's no exception, right? So you can do player-to-player trade if your game has run for 3 to 5 years, rock-solid economy, everything is balanced, and then you're saying, now let's introduce player trade. That's fine, but from the beginning, you're ruining your whole experience. It's not worth it, believe me. Yeah, blockchain stuff and so on might actually change that, but I don't know any game in the charts that actually have player-to-player trading with blockchain, so let's wait, right? You will get hacked 100% or exploited. It's normal. Many American companies say, oh, we have to go through the FBI. Yeah, no, you don't. You try to find out the exploiter and hacker and ask him, listen, how did you do that? Can you help us fix it? And oh God, will be he proud and help you fixing it. Most of the exploits will be told to you by the community. So reward them for this. They want to have their game healthy, so they report exploits to you. So you're fixing it, and the reporters get a reward, right? The same with the hackers. We had that. We had some crazy dude hacking our game, and we found out who he is, and we asked him, can you help us fix it? And he sent in a 120-page document with all the hacks and exploits he found, including the code fixes. And we're like, we never gave you the code. How? Oh, I just recompiled the game. Wait, what? Of course we hired the guy, okay? You find this kind of stuff. So. Dynamic pricing is another thing. You will find many services. Oh yes, dynamic pricing depending on user behavior, how you play, we can actually, yes, that stuff works, but on the other hand, your community will go nuts, I play with my wife a game. She pays $2.99 for that stuff, but they charge me $4.99 because I actually paid for the other game. No, fuck you. I will never play your game again. So don't do that. People will talk. They will share that, right? Zynga tried, and it was the downfall of one of their games. So dynamic pricing is very dangerous. If you have a single-player casual game, do it. No problem. If you have a community-driven game, don't. Right? Very easy. So, future outlook. A real economy with real trade with blockchain. Yes, we will have that at some point, but not yet. If you want to be a pioneer, good luck. An AI-driven economy with AI-driven agents inside to go buy and sell and influx prices, yes, that will come 100%. AI-driven NPCs, 100%. They're already here. You just haven't used it yet, right? AI will be everywhere. So that will be not, I may say, in the future, but it's already here, but not in this room. But it will be. Next year, we can talk about AI agents running in a game. Yeah, that will be fun. Yeah. So, thank you. Time is good? Good. So, we have 5 minutes for questions. If you have a question.
We'll have actually 2 minutes for quick questions as we're running out of time. So, if anyone has a quick question, please. The first one wins. Then we'll have no more time for questions. But probably Teut will be waiting outside for you and answering any.
Sorry, what's your opinion on scaling economies? So where you basically lower the value of hard currency with the player progression?
You scale up economies for a reason because you want people to spend more time in the progression of the game. So if you make everything cheaper there, it's contrary. So you have to scale up the cost.
Yeah, so the concept I've heard with from one of the economy designers was to kind of increase the monetization depth faster than you kind of lower the value of hard currency. So you're increasing the depth anyway, but the player perceives that as everything getting cheaper.
That's difficult to answer. Can we sit down and just talk about that outside? Sure. Then we can actually make that in detail. That would be good.
Sure, I'd love that.
My brain is empty already. You had a question. Can you
please speak up to the microphone as you're near?
Okay, did you try to use different economies for different segments of players, different countries, or do it in more live environment?
No, the game economy itself is unchanged worldwide, unless it contains stuff which are not liked in a certain country, like content-driven. But in terms of pricing, the only thing we did is that for certain countries we adjusted pricing. And that worked really well. Sadly, that's hard in mobile, because I give you an example. In one of our games, we adjusted the payout in Poland by 30%. Like you got more here in Poland. And it worked really, really well. The problem is there were many, many players faking they're from Poland to get the better payout. And that's something on mobile which is very common. That's the reason why we don't do it for that. But yes, that works, country specific.
But
yes.
I mean more like don't sell for the same prices. You told different amount of items, but provide different offers or different hidden mechanics, like something that you don't see, drop rate, for different audiences.
No, we don't.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, interesting. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's run a round of applause for Teut once again.